Janice, how are you? How's the weather?
Oh, it's quite warm here, actually. How are you doing, Julie?
It's freezing here. It's been minus 25 for the last 3 days.
Oh, so cold. I can't even understand that level of coldness and how you live with that.
Neither can I. It's very cold. It's very cold.
Very cold. Well, we're almost exact opposite.
Yes, we are.
So you're minus 25. We're usually about plus 25 or more.
Wow. Well, you know what? I'm super happy that we're doing this project together because it's really going to highlight both of our countries and both of our weathers. And I had this idea when my sister-in-law said, "Are you going to knit a weather blanket this year?" And I thought, knit? No. Weather blanket? What is that? And then she showed me, and for every day she knits a row and there's a color associated to it. So I thought, oh, we can totally do this with scrapbooking, right?
Right.
Right. So,
You
so you and I have been trying to come up with colors using Close to My Heart, and we've associated colors, and there's 5 degrees in between each, which is good because we're both in Celsius.
Yes,
and
makes it very easy.
Very easy. And for me, I know that there's going to be a lot of blues for the next couple of months.
And for me, there's going to be quite a few yellows and oranges.
So here at the bottom is the selection of colors that we've come up with. And of course, we can kind of change them up if we want to. And the concept is that we're each going to prepare a sketch. You're going to use your colors from your country, and I'm going to use my colors from my country, and we'll see what we both come up with.
That just sounds fabulous. I'm so looking forward to this. I think it's going to be so fun to compare the differences between our two hemispheres.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And you know what? Every time you start a layout, it's really hard to decide what color am I going to start with. Well, with this concept, the color is already picked for you. Good or bad, color is going to be picked for you.
So Julie came up with this color scheme and sent it through to me, and I really, really loved the whole concept of it. And I decided to do a little swatch, and I might swap one of the colors out, but we're going to stick mainly with this chart. So I think mine are going to be from this mid-range up because we don't get down into this minor zone.
I'm not sure if I'm going to see scarlet. I might see it, but I doubt it very, very much. I might actually see black, which is, was it minus 35?
Minus 30.
Oh, minus 30. Oh, yeah. Definitely we're going to see
scarlet is 40
plus 40
on the other end of the scale. I might get to 40 in February. I might get to 40 in January. So it'll be interesting to see how far we get with the extremes.
So every month we're each going to do a layout. I started with the month of January. So they're going to look something like this right here, which you can see. But I'm going to use my colors and Janice is going to use her colors. And then in February,
I get to design one, and then we're going to take turn about every month. So we each get to design 6 layouts for the year.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I can't wait to see your layout.
I can't wait to see yours either. It's going to be so interesting to see if we actually get to cross over with our temperatures too.
I don't think so, but we'll see.
Maybe in autumn.
Maybe. All right, so let's get to crafting.
Okay, I'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Now I'm going to start putting my January pages together. As Julie and I talked about in the intro, and thank you so much for watching that little chat that we had. It was so much fun. We've both made swatches, and all of my colours for January are pretty much from Avocado to Paprika. We didn't get into the scarlet section. And what I've done with my temperature recording, and I'm going to put a link below to the Australian website that you can go and have a look at, but I basically use an app on my phone that is set to where I live locally, and I just look at that. I can go into that and look at the history, and I've recorded the whole month of January, and the colors that I'm using are, if it's 25 to 29.6 or 7 or 8, I'm going to go with the Sundance color. And what I also decided to do was use Avocado on the light side for these pages. So that's how I'm using this gauge. As long as it falls within that 30 to say 34 point something, it's going to be a Nectarine. What I'm doing with my project, especially for January, I've cut everything out in Design Space. I've already adhered all of my strips down, and I cut everything on the Cricut so that it all fitted in perfectly. And you can see what I've done. I've put in the swirl that Julie is using on her pages, because for her it looks like a bit of a snow flurry swirl, but I looked at it and thought beach and waves. This sun is actually day 31 for the color chart, so it was in the 30+ degree area, so I've made that sun as day 31. So with my strips here, I start at day 1, 2, 3, go down to 15, start at day 16 on the right page and go all the way down to January 30. I'm going to do a bit of a treatment to this because there is a lot of Nectarine here, and I just want to soften that up just a little bit. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. You can see I've cut all the elements out, ready to go. These are all layered designs. So with the sunglasses, there's a base. I've actually brought in some Carolina because I wanted to put some blues on there because it will match in with my photos. The layered umbrella, what I've done is I've got the pieces, rather than putting it straight down on top of a coloured overlay, I wanted to use the colours that we're using and put those in the little inserts. And with my title, when I go to adhere that, I'll be putting this overlay section, and I've kept the inside pieces of the A's and the R, because you can see when you put those in there, it just finishes off the word beautifully to put those in. So when you're taking things off the mat, you have to be careful to keep those sort of elements. I'm going to put all of this aside for the moment, and then I am going to show you how I'm going to treat these strips of paper, just to give a little bit more interest to them, rather than having a big hot section of 30 to 35 degree days. I had a little bit of a recording incident. So the 12 by 12 pages that I was bringing into my splatter box, I actually did all the spraying and did all the stenciling and thought I'd pressed record, and big failure, I hadn't. So what I've done, well, now that I've realised when I've gone to edit the video, I've just recreated a strip of what the page looks like so I can show you what I actually did. So I've got the strips here of the colour tones that I used in my layout, and I've got a stencil from pack 1. This one, the card stencil, there are 4 designs on the 12 by 12 sheet, and I have cut these up because it's big enough for me to do this. And what I'm going to do is lay this down on here. I've got a baby white ready to go to clean off the nozzle of the white gloss spray. And you need to give this a good shake before you start spraying. I'm just going to do a little test to make sure that it's all spraying how I like it. And this is a fairly detailed design. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and recreate this so that you can have an idea of what to do with a 12 by 12 page. Obviously, this design doesn't fit all the way across the 12 by 12, but I am going to spray from quite a height. And I'm not going too heavy with it, and it's okay to get some overspray here. I quite like that look. And then I'm going to come down here and spray as well, and then I can pick that up and move it across, do a little bit more, And I'll move this over. So pretend this is a 12 by 12 sheet. And that's how I've got the design of the page. Now you could mask that off so that you don't see that harsh line there, but I know that by the time I put my photos on here and the embellishments that I've got, that this will disappear. But you still get, with that light spray, you still get the chevron or the arrow type design coming through, and I haven't oversaturated it. If I'd sprayed too much of it, it would have oozed out from underneath and it would be a little bit more solid, and I wanted a textured light sort of effect to the gloss spray. So now I'm going to clean all this up and I'll edit this part into the middle where it's supposed to go, and then you'll see me assemble the rest of the page. While I was cleaning up the stencil, the gloss spray has all dried, and I've gone ahead and I've adhered the strip of White Daisy that's 12 inches in length, and I've put my trimmed photos onto here. I trimmed these down to be just slightly less than 6 by 4 to get a bit of white space in between, and I decided to add a little black strip alongside this large photo mat just to lift it a little bit from this edge here. And I've gone ahead and I've stuck all of these elements together already, so you didn't have to watch me do all of that. And I've put the sun, the largest sun here that represents January 31st. And in the design space file and on the sketches, there's a strip of white that can be used to put a subtitle. So I went and looked through all of my stamp sets to find something that would relate to summer, and I found this June word puzzle that is from quite some time ago, and it's got lazy days of summer. And I know that I'm going to bring in some Carolina on the right side, so I decided to stamp that in black, and then that ties in that black strip, and then I've matted it on the Carolina cardstock as well, so that that then matches in with the right page. So I'm going to pop this up on some foam tape. I'm just going to place that here so it's partly across the photos and partly across the sun. But I want this little bit of nectarine from that day poking out. So that's basically my left page. On my right page, I've already put my photos down. You'll see that there is a little bit of damage here to a photo. I actually did this with black mats totally, and I didn't quite like it, so I lifted it all up and put a white mat, and because I already had my sun on there, it did lift a little bit of that section up. So this is why I'm using the foam tape and bringing in the Carolina on both sides. I'm going to adhere this swirl, and for that I'm going to use liquid glue, but I'm not going to put the liquid glue totally over where the photo elements are. I'm just going to leave that clear. There will be enough glue on here for it to adhere to the page, but I do want to tuck something in, and I don't always like using liquid glue over the top of my photos. Before I press down, I'm just bringing my January in to make sure that I've got it roughly where I want it to be. Put it on a little bit more of an angle. So now I'm going to bring in the beach umbrella, and I've just got foam tape on the top part of that. I didn't want foam tape on the bottom section because the title is going to go, the January title is going to go over the top, but I wanted the actual umbrella top part to be on foam tape. And then I cut all these little pieces so that I can lay my January title over top of this. And I've left this section blank because I wanted to show you, these are the pieces when I've cut this out on the Cricut that I can then fit in like a little jigsaw puzzle piece straight into the umbrella. So you can see, even though Carolina isn't one of the colours that I'm going to be using for January at all, it's at 0. I wanted to bring that in just to lift the pages a little bit and add a little bit more interest because these are days at the beach. I'm bringing in another little subtitle here. So I've got Lazy Days of Summer and What Matters. This is from an old stamp of the month from 2019. I love all the words. You will see that I've used this in the additional photos that I'm just going to show you in a minute. I think this little subtitle is perfect for this photo, for me to say yes more and do things. And I headed down to the beach with my daughter quite a bit, as you can see in these photos here. I need to live in the moment a little bit more and not think about what I need to do and what has to happen, and just say yes when my daughter or my son wants to go to the beach with me and spend time with them. Because even though it wasn't a particularly perfect beach day, it was extremely hot, and we did have some perfect days. You can see a lot of these photos are all taken down at the beach on various days. These three here are all the same day. It was so windy and the bay was really quite rough, and even though I didn't swim, I did enjoy going down there with my daughter. And I'm so glad that I am saying yes, because as January unfolded, we ended up having to be in isolation for over a couple of weeks because my son contracted COVID and then I got COVID. And it's just important, I think, for me to step back and just say yes and get out and relax and spend time with my children. Speaking of them, I do have more photos for January. So what I have decided to do for this project and for the January pages is bring in one of these pocket page memory protectors so I can add in some additional photos. I've used the same colours on the strips here. This stencil here is a retired stencil. It's no longer available, and as I was playing with the white gloss sprays and what I was going to use on the background here, I used that and I thought it was a little bit too solid for the whole entire pattern on these strips, and it was a little bit busy with so much going on here. But I kept some of the strips that I used and cut them up to be at the bottom of these journaling areas. You can see that I've got spots here for additional photos. I've got the photos printed, but they are of my adult children, and I don't share their photos on social media. If I want to take photos of them, I have to promise that they are for private use. So they're printed and ready to go in there, and I've just got my journaling to do. Over January, as I said, we were in isolation. We ran out of bread, so I had to make damper one day, and then we had some cheese and crackers one day because we couldn't go to the shops to buy the bread, and I'd already done an order and had food delivered and friends had dropped off, so we just made do with what we had. The house next door to us is getting demolished and they're redeveloping the block, so they were photos out my work window. So this was a little bit of a challenge to record the introduction that Julie and I were doing earlier, because the guys were up here on the roof flinging the tiles off while we were trying to do our little Zoom chat to record for this project that we're doing together. So I had to run out there and ask if they would kindly cease for about 5 minutes while we finished off, and they were very nice and they actually did that. But this is it the weekend yet is very appropriate because it's been very, very noisy during the day. So the weekends are actually the quiet time. And because summer was quite hot, because January was quite hot for us, we did get the sprinkler out and cool off a little bit in the backyard because we weren't able to head to the beach. So this is my January project, and that will go in an album, and then I'll go on to my February pages next after this. If you haven't already watched Julie's video, there will be a link to that at the end of the video. So make sure you check out what she has done. Her colour tones are totally different from me, of course, because she's in Canada and they are experiencing some extremely cold weather. So this all looks very warm and bright, and her layouts are going to look totally different from this with the colour tones that she's going to be using. I'm so excited that she asked me to do this project. It's going to be so much fun to do over the year. So it'll be interesting to see how this all unfolds over the next 12 months. Thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.